Hey, Sammy-doo, coming to you live from Precious World Office Studios in the great state of Texas, the ATX. Hey, wanted to cover a topic with you today regarding new regulations, kind of part due. I know I've kind of been absent for a minute. I've been knee deep into getting my continuing education courses completed for my insurance license renewal this month in August, because my birthday is this month, and they expire on my birthday month, and I had to get those classes done. So I was kind of knee deep buried trying to knock out 30 hours of cram course studies. But interesting also this month, that something that I had warned about some time ago regarding new regulations coming into the market and now preventing certain things that we used to do that we can't do anymore, has manifested in the state of Illinois. In the state of Illinois. So in the state of Illinois now, wholesaling is illegal. They wrote out a new law that was finalized this month, just a couple of weeks ago, that if you're going to be buying, selling more than 2 properties in 1 year, that you're required now to have a broker's license, whether it's you as an individual or you as a company. If you're doing more than 2 in a 12-month period, what we would call wholesales in the real estate investing arena, they're going to require you now to have a broker's license. And obviously with having a broker's license comes certain types of things regarding disclosures and things of that nature, because as a license as you are licensed in that state, there are certain requirements and incumbencies that you would have regarding a buyer and a seller when it comes to real estate and that information. Now, of course, I'm one like hundreds of thousands of others that's in the investing game that do not have a license. That's not required, because the difference between me and the real estate broker per se is a broker represents someone else while I represent myself. And that's the biggest difference between having a license or not. If you're in the real estate game without a license, as an investor, you're representing yourself. If you have a license, then you can also represent someone else. I choose not to do it because I run my own business, doing my own things for my business's best interest in the way that I help folks. Now, here's the thing though. Why did these new regulations come down in Chicago? Well, I haven't had an opportunity to totally research or not Chicago, but Illinois. I suspect that it has something to do with what's going on in Chicago. Chicago is one of the major cities in Illinois. Chicago is one of the major cities in the country, but third or fourth largest city in the country. And I do know that there's a lot of real estate play in that area. I've got a mentee in that area myself, and we're trying to now navigate what we're going to be able to do from a real estate standpoint, which, to be honest, from a wholesaling standpoint, pretty much has shut it down. Now, as any other law tends to happen, I'm sure folks will come up with a workaround. I have an idea of what a workaround could be, but it would be defeating the spirit and the integrity of the law there. So I will not be pursuing the wholesaling business in Illinois in that regard, because that's the spirit of the law basically intended to shut it down. Now, the real question is to why. Why did they come up with that? Now, again, I don't know what specifically were the details that led to it, but ultimately what tends to happen with regulations, and while regulations are applied, not just in real estate, but like in the financial industry and from an environmental and hazard industry and all these different industries that have regulations. What usually happens is that someone within the constituency, and not just someone, but typically, several issues within the constituency being the basic consumer of the United States, the basic consumer of Illinois, for instance, were impacted in a negative stance, in a negative way, where either they made complaints or someone in the industry saw some things that said this is not right. They felt like they were taken advantage of. They felt like they were mistreated. They felt like this situation caused their life to be impacted in a negative sense. But long story short, this is where regulations begin to be applied, where the government now feels like they have to interfere, they have to get engaged with minimizing the negative impact to the people. Now, what kind of negative impact are we talking about? Well, it's something that I've been talking about for some time now, is that in the real estate investing business, this is a professional business. This is a business that's been going on for generations and generations. Nothing new other than the social media platform has now been able to elevate it a little bit more publicly. The challenge has been that folks are not getting the proper teachings, the proper coaching, the proper mentorship as to how to do this business without impacting society in a negative way. And that's because they're going to YouTube universities and they're going to seminars and only getting a touch of the information and not getting the details from this. But now you're out on the street trying to do things without the details. Listen, I've got mentees across the country, and I hear this all the time when I usually onboard them. They're telling me what they were doing, and I'm like, man, you can't do that. That's, I've got a couple of situations right now where I'm trying to help a couple of my mentees bail themselves out of the legal obligation that they got themselves binded with a potential seller. Sellers are upset. But here's the thing. It's nothing wrong with trying, but there are industries that do require that there is some type of coach, mentor, help out there before you get cut loose on your own. A doctor, for instance, before a surgeon is going to be able to start cutting up on somebody and sticking needles in your body, you're going to know that they've been through an internship with another doctor for at least 2 years. And that basically is a form of mentorship for them. I've said this before. I'm an ex-police officer myself, went to a police academy for 16 weeks, I think it was. And I've done that 3 times, but got out and I was placed with what is called a field training officer. You're given a gun and handcuffs and all this stuff. And now you're going to be on the street impacting regular people. And if you're out there doing dumb or risky or taking chances and things of that nature, because you just don't have that practical experience, it's going to be a problem. So in the law enforcement community, they put you with what's called a field training officer. So you can get mentorship after you've gotten your education. Real estate is the same way, or it should be, but it's not, and it should be. You shouldn't be out trying to willy and nilly and dilly your way through this business. This business is a serious business. This business has thousands of dollars going back and forth in the transactions, and it has people with real assets that are being impacted, whether it's a seller or a buyer. And as a wholesaler, you're that person in the middle. And when you're trying to bring the two together, and if you're doing some things inappropriately, details matter in this business. The way you go about this business matter. What you disclose matter. What you don't disclose matter. How you negotiate matter. How you've made contact with that seller matters. And for whatever reason in Illinois, the mess became so loud there that apparently the state of Illinois decided to interfere and engage themselves in this real estate wholesaling business by basically obliterating it. They said, look, you're doing more than 2 transactions. They made new definitions, and I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me, but it says something like this: whether you're an individual or an entity, if you're doing more than 2 transactions in real estate, you're required to get a brokerage license. If you're doing more than 2 transactions in a year in real estate, you're required to get a broker's license in the state of Illinois. So I know a lot of folks in the community that are doing it. It basically says, you know, it's not even worth trying to fight that. Now, Illinois just pretty much kicked out the investors from a wholesaler standpoint. Now, if you're truly a buyer and you got the cash and you're buying things, I haven't seen anything that says you couldn't buy. But wholesalers, we know, don't buy. Wholesalers are just connecting sellers and buyers together. So, and again, because of a lot of new things that's happening and a lot of new folks that's out there doing some things that's not really appropriate, whether it's unethical, whether it's they just don't know any better or whatever, guess what? That has now caused at least one state that I've heard of that pretty much have obliterated the ability to do wholesales in that state. So if you're out there and you have not taken on a mentor to kind of check and balance your activities, to kind of help you tweak what you need to do in your business. If you have never taken on a mentor and gotten that type of advice, I encourage you, reach out, get you a mentor. I'm still available a bit. I'm kind of running tight at the moment, but I'm still available for the moment. You just never know. But I have the Real Estate Wholesale helpline that you can find somewhere within the description of this video, and book a free 30-minute consult with me. And we can see what you need to be doing, where you need to be going. And for a longer term relationship, we can kind of talk about how that can work. But long story short, man, I am doing this because it's impacting real players out here. You know, like I said, I actually had a mentee in Illinois, and now we can't do the wholesaling piece, where typically when you're trying to build a real estate business, you start with wholesaling. You don't get wealthy off of wholesaling, and don't let these gurus fool you telling you that's how they've done it, because you don't. Your wealth comes from the ownership of a portfolio of properties. But you don't start there. You start with wholesale so you can build capital quickly. So, hey, listen, this is Sammy-doo coming to you, dropping another golden nugget, except this one is probably, I wouldn't call this one gold because this is not really the best news, but it is an intricate, vital aspect of the business that has now being impacted in Illinois. And, so goes one state. Oftentimes other states also start to jump on that same bandwagon. Those legislators tend to call other states when they feel like they're having issues. Hey, what did you do about this? What did you do about that? Sort of like how the gun laws situations are happening with different states. They were calling each other, and what are you doing about that? Homelessness in certain cities, for instance, they tend to go visit others. Hey, what are you doing about that? And then they try to come back to their own place where they have their legislative authority or the regulatory authority and apply those new laws. And so, Illinois is the most recent one that I've heard about. And that's kind of a big deal because, again, Chicago is the 4th largest city in America. And so that's going to impact that game up there for sure. Even though it's the entire state of Illinois, but they have the 4th largest city in America. So listen, please subscribe to this channel. If you don't do anything else, subscribe to the channel so you can at least get information on some do's and don'ts, things of that nature. But more importantly, you probably want to reach out and see what you can do to get help to get you going the right way, not the willy-nilly way, the right way. The right way when it comes from a regulatory and legal standpoint, and the right way when it comes to, most importantly, how you are impacting people out there that does need our help. I'm actually getting set to go with a mentee I have locally to work with another seller right now. So I've got to go ahead and wrap this up. But again, Sammy-doo coming to you with another golden nugget. This one, again, not so gold. This is not really the best news when you know, the government's got to get involved with what's going on because of things that's going on that is wrong. So the best way to avoid being wrong is to get help. Don't try to be a cowboy or cowgal in this situation. Get you some help. You know, you're not going to learn how to conduct a surgery all on YouTube. You're not going to learn how to conduct surgeries on YouTube or even in the classroom. You've got to have some type of overseeing coach mentor type situation. And I do treat coaching and mentorship differently. They both have different meanings. Coaching has one set of meaning, mentorship has a different set of meaning, and I treat those two differently, although they're coming at you both ways if you decide to have me as your coach or mentor. So hate breaking the news to you folks, but that's where we are today. And now that I'm hope that I'm done with these courses, I can kind of get back out in the field a little bit more heavier and actually get back into these videos for you a little sooner. So until then, I'll see you at the top because the bottom sure is crowded. God bless.